All right, hello everyone. I'm going to go over this program that I made for learning Kotlin language. So Kotlin is very similar to Python syntax. It's the same thing as Java syntax. Um, if you can see here, you don't need semicolons at the end of each line. And so defining variables is a little bit different. You use colons and either value or variable, and then you tell it what data type it is, and then it can be private or not private. Um, yeah, so I'll just run it and show you guys what's happening. So first things first, it's gonna call value, which is an immutable variable, which means that you can't change it after it's been set. If you want to change the variable after it's been set, it has to be called variable, not value. So this test function is called, and it's going to return two values, name as a string and age as an integer. So let's go see what the test function is doing. So the function is written a little bit different from Python. So you have your function and then the name of it, and then your inputs, and then over here to the right, this is what's different. You do a colon and you put your outputs, what it's going to return. So first thing first, let's go over immutable and immutable. So this first part, value, that is um, immutable, which means it can't change, right? So I printed that right here. This is totally immutable. And then afterwards, we changed it to a mutable object. And then you can change the third value. So totally it got changed to not. And it's a mutable object, so it can change because you're treating it as one. So next, there's a bunch of different data types. You have integer, long, double character, bool, string, and all of these are values, which means they can't change after they've been created. And then I put them into an array. And arrays in Kotlin and Java, I think maybe it's just Kotlin, but arrays don't all have to be the same data types. So I can mix integers and strings and Boolean values inside of an array. So I create a second name type, and then I threw it in a loop. Loops have different syntax. So you can use this until, so one until, and then array.size. You can also put two dots in here. That would also work. So one until array size. Um, that takes a little bit of getting used to because it just looks different, but once you get the hang of it, it's not really a big deal. And then I just printed out each value along with its data type. So 5 is type long, 3.4 is type double, and so on and so forth. So next, I printed out enter your name, and then this is how you get user input from the terminal. You use a read line function. So you can type your name in, and then next it says enter your age, so you type your age in, and I did some checking right here to make sure that you actually put a number in. So let's say I put in, I don't know, something that's not a number. Then run the rest of the program. But then it says this is not an integer. So then it returned Kyle and 0 as a default value because I put 0 as a default age in case they typed something that wasn't an actual number. So run it again, but type a number. Then it says valid inputs, got Kyle and 26 from test function. Great. So after the test function, we get name and age, and we pass it into this class. So person equals this person with a capital P. That's the class that I created. And that class takes a string as a name and an integer as an age. And it initializes it with position X and Y. And it has a method called introduce, which just says my name is, and then whatever its name is, and then I am whatever its age is years old. And that's what it did right here. My name is Kyle and I'm 26 years old. Great. And then to play around with the different positions, I made some methods for moving the character up, down, left, and right. And I made a method called move random, which moves the person in 10 random directions. And then get distance, that will tell you the distance between this character and a different point. So I created that person with the inputs from the test function, and then I created a second person and just named it bot. And then I moved both of them 10 random spaces, and then I got the distance from the person that you input and from that bot. So let's look at what it's doing here. So the 10 random, so it starts at 5, 5, and then it goes 10 random spaces, right? And then it gives you the final destination. So the final destination, it just moved to the right 2 spaces. And then this one moved 10 times, and it just moved right 1 and up 1. So then it does the calculation from 6, 6, and 7, 5. That's a difference of 1 on both. So then the square root of 1, I think, would be 1.414. Or square root, I'm sorry, 1 plus 1, so the square root of 2 is 1.414. And that would be the distance between them. And just use the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared after it subtracts the x and y coordinates. And yeah, oh, and then this is my argument. So Kotlin has something right here where you can put arguments into there, and you just do that by going up to the run and then edit configuration, and then right in here you can type the arguments that you want to pass into it. So I pass this is my argument, and then it prints it over here. Yeah, so that's the basic. Oh, so this when is something that's different. This so it returns when to enter null. So this is how I checked if what you typed in was either a string or an integer, right? So in the test function, I made a checked variable and I said, okay, is the thing that you input an integer or a string? And then right here, so when, and then the thing that they typed in dot enter string. So when it's an int, then it returns true, and when it's a null variable, meaning it's not an integer, then it returns false. So this when just takes the value and then it plugs it in. So if it's null, return false, otherwise return true. So it returns true if it's an integer and false if it's a null, and then you can just use that in your conditional to do different things. And yeah, that's the Kotlin language. Thank you for watching.